Plaintiff Philip Jones says when he was 18, he started hanging with the wrong crowd and ended up incarcerated. Although he was convicted of a felony, Philip got his bachelor's degree and is currently pursuing his master's. Philip also works as a DJ, and he rented his equipment to the defendant, but he failed to return it, so he's suing. Defendant Brandon Hemphill works as a teacher by day and a DJ by night, and that's why he rented Philip's equipment. However, while DJing a party, there was a shooting and one person was killed. And during the scramble to get out, Philip's equipment was stolen, so Brandon doesn't feel responsible.
All right, state your case.
Well, I wanted to start off by saying you are truly an inspiration to me, Judge. I'm saying this because when I was 18 years old, I wound up hanging out with some guys that I went to high school with, got in the wrong crowd, and wound up getting myself in some trouble. I was convicted of a felony and sentenced to serve time. And in my sentencing hearing, the judge said to me, when I told him I still had aspirations of becoming an attorney, he told me that this wouldn't happen, that it was impossible, and that he would see to it that I'm a felon for life, and he denied expungement of my record. So normally this would get you down or get you discouraged, but I went and researched, and during my research I found that you yourself were once in a situation similar to mine, and as you see, you made it to be a judge. So it's truly inspiring, and you are part of the reason I haven't stopped. I didn't stop pursuing success. I went on to get my bachelor's degree at 19, and I'm now 21, and I will be done with my master's degree in August.
Oh, man.
So, thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Those are the type of examples that motivate me to continue to talk about the obstacles I had.
One interesting fact, while I was incarcerated, I actually wrote you, Your Honor.
Did you?
I did.
Well, if you ask me to get you out, I don't respond to those.
Hey, no, it wasn't
if you say when I get out, Judge, if you could help me, then you'll get a response.
No.
Nobody writes me as guilty. I've never had a letter from prison where the guy is guilty. Judge, they say they had 5 eyewitnesses that were standing over me. They showed this video and this and all that in court. But I never did anything, Judge. Right. Those 5 people and that video had it wrong.
No, it wasn't that. It was saying the same thing I just said here today, and I'm honored to say it in person.
Yeah.
So.
And fortunately, I had a different type of judge. I had a judge that gave me a second chance. He said, well, because I stayed in the penal system until my court date, in which case I cut a plea bargain, if you will. So after that, went to school, and 5 years later, I had my record expunged, and then was able to get in law school as a result and become a lawyer as a result. And they still held my law license up even though I had my record expunged. Because the Bar Association is not a legal entity, or it's not a governmental entity, so they can do what they want. It's like a membership. The Bar Association is like a club. They can say, well, we don't want you in our club because we think you're unfit. Why am I unfit? Because 10 years ago you did such and such. So I took him to court. For 3 years, I fought that battle and won my right at the Michigan Supreme Court to practice. So you're doing the right thing. Continue to fight.
Thank you.
Don't give up. And I'm so glad to hear that it has an effect for me to talk about my journey. A lot of folks say, you continue to talk about that. You've been talking about that for every area. This is why I keep talking about it. Right. Some young guy on the street who hasn't heard, or some single mother who hasn't heard, they hear and they say, boom, the judge did this? All right, son, you need to do what the judge did. Come out of those streets and do ABC. Or the mother says, wow, I didn't know this was possible. Let me make sure my son goes at least to a community college, a trade school, or a university or something like the judge did. That's the only way out, is educate yourself, son. So it takes folks showing an example of overcoming those obstacles, and you've done the same thing today. You've shown the millions of people an example of how to come out of those streets, transform your life, and get a master's degree, highly educated man. So once again, I congratulate you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
On this breach of contract you're suing about. He probably knows what he's talking about now. He got a master. Now I'm gonna hear about his journey. Tell me what you've been through in life.
Right now I'm a teacher at the #1 high school in Wisconsin. I DJ at nights or the weekends right now, but mostly right now I'm consumed with the teaching job and quite happy with it.
Good, and I'm so happy to hear that that's what you're doing. There's a shortage of male teachers all throughout the country.
Definitely.
And so you're doing the service yourself there. Both of you guys are doing God's work. Thank you again.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Where you know the defendant from? Tell me about you all's background together.
The defendant and I have been friends for years now, just knowing each other through DJing. You know, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we're from, is kind of small. So, you know, word gets out who's DJing. And we've done several functions together, actually. We did a DJ battle some years ago. And we've had
who has the biggest reputation in town?
I don't know. It depends on who you talk to.
All right, who charges the most?
I charge more.
And they pay it?
They pay it.
Either you up your price? Well, no, he might be undercutting you to get more business.
I mean, you know, I look out for the people who struggle a little bit.
There you go.
I plug here and there. You know, so I do what I can for the people.
And you all have had a good relationship outside of this breach of contract. Tell me about this.
For this particular instance, I've rented my equipment to the defendant before, and everything always went smooth. But on this particular instance, my father rented the equipment to the defendant on my behalf while I was incarcerated. And there was some incident, I'm not actually sure what happened, but there was some incident and the equipment was never returned.
Okay.
And neither was the $75 rental fee that was agreed upon.
What happened? What incident?
Your Honor, the night of April 17th, I was scheduled to DJ.
You had his equipment?
Yes, yes, I had. The party ended tragically, really bad.
Ended tragically?
Yeah, it was a shooting. I'm gonna just take you through my night. It was a regular night. Started around 10. I was there. It was a 2-level building, so it was upstairs and downstairs. I was on the upper level, which was, you know, it was really not a lot of people up there. So around 2 o'clock, the party was over at 2:30. Around 2 o'clock, it was winding down. I was getting ready, you know, to pack everything up, and then from the lower level, you hear 5 gunshots rang out, and after the 5. You know, everybody's scrambling in front of me. I'm trying to unplug. And then I guess at the back door, it was a gunfight that proceeded to happen. 3 people were struck. 1 person died. And in the midst of me, the only thing I was really able to get out the studio at the time was my turntable, my laptop. I can't even get my laptop plug out, you know. I'm scrambling to get everything. I walk to my van, because my van is right by the front door, and I turn around to go back to get the speakers. It's a man shot laying on the ground in front of me. And at that point, I had to choose between a man's life and retrieving PJ equipment. And it's not I was ducking any responsibilities. You know, it was just, I wouldn't want nobody to make that decision. And I made a hard decision. I picked him up, threw him in my van, and drove to the closest hospital. And the same time when I was walking him in to the emergency room, the guy who died, they was dumping him on the emergency room floor. You know, so it was like, at that point, it got surreal for me. And, you know, I kind of knew that the police had me on camera, you know, walking to the emergency room floor. So I tried to stick around to, you know, talk to the police, and the police was telling me to wait. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go back to the studio and try to get my equipment before, you know, I know it's gonna be a crime scene. So in the midst of me walking back to the minivan, the police obviously got my minivan license plates, and they took everything out of my car and was taking pictures and everything, and they held me for a good 9 hours to just investigate. And after that, I mean, the police treated me like I was the criminal. Like I knew exactly who was shooting. I told them I had nothing to do with it. I was hired to DJ. You know, they telling me I'm stupid for DJing these hood parties. But at the same time, they don't understand that this is my living. At that time, I wasn't a teacher. Only thing I had was DJing. And
sorry to hear that they mistreated you. Some police do that during their investigation. They, as you say, treat bystanders and witnesses, when they volunteer to go and talk to them, they treat them like they're suspects.
I wouldn't say I would volunteer to go talk to him. I mean, I was trying to talk to him at first, and then
That's
after
my
that,
point.
I mean,
You were trying to talk to them, mean you were volunteering to help tell them what went down. So you're scared to even say that you were volunteering to talk to them. And the reason and that's the reason, because some police, they don't have the trust in their community, and so people won't talk to them. They say there's no snitch code where people won't tell when they see a crime being committed. A lot of times it's because the police will get them in there. Bad police will get them in there, and they'll twist their words and turn them into the suspect.
And Your Honor, that's what I guess happened from the situation, because everybody, you know,
in the neighborhood thinks that you
looked at me backwards, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a night like that. I didn't see nothing to tell the police nothing. And that's why I think the police started handling me rough, because I couldn't give them no valuable information.
Yeah. Did they catch the assailants?
No, it's still an open pending case.
Out of all those people who were there, nobody knows
that's,
who did it. And nobody wants to talk to the police. They don't trust the police, and then they're scared of the retaliation. He's suggesting, I guess, that it was out of his control, and what you'd have to prove is that he was negligent and deviated from what a reasonable person would have done under that circumstance, unless he gave you a blanket guarantee saying, okay, whatever happens, or just said you are responsible. Period.
Your
it
Honor,
doesn't have any exclusions. Yes.
Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I do have a contract stating.
Oh, good.
That he's
you have done well for yourself educationally. You know to put that together.
One thing I would like to point out that I would like to disagree with the defendant on is that he didn't duck any responsibilities. I caught that he had said that, and it is tragic what happened. Don't get me wrong, and I feel bad about that myself. I'm more speaking towards after that whole situation transpired. I made several attempts to contact him, as well as my father, and this is all after I was released, so this is 6 months later. And I thought we had came to an agreement as far as getting the equipment replaced, and the defendant never followed through with it. So that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to follow through now. Sir, do you remember signing this contract,
Yes,
agreeing to be responsible?
Yes, I do,
totally
sir.
responsible. There's no exclusion. There's nothing that says unless I'm a victim of a third-party crime, or unless this or that or the other. The only way you can get out of a contract of this sort is if it was an act of God. And God definitely didn't want that to happen.
No, not at all.
Yeah, an act of God typically is having to do with weather or something of that nature.
It did rain that night.
Judgment for the plaintiff. I'm so proud of you guys and the work you're doing, both in schools and in empowering yourself and empowering your community. Good luck to you both. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I mean,
yeah, I'm glad we got it worked out.
Yeah, I had to get a job before I had to pay you, brother.
I understand, man.
Yeah, I just hope we could continue business. I mean, by all means necessary. I really appreciate your father too, Mr. Jones. I really appreciate your help at the time. I'm sorry it took so long, man. I was really in a bad financial state, you know, having a newborn, diapers, bills on top of that. You know,
it's worked out now, man.
Oh, it's cool, man.
Just remember one thing. Phone call.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Jones. Yes, sir.